Good morning, everybody. We're back again playing the Witch's Cottage Calibrated Blast deck we played yesterday, trophied with the deck yesterday. We're back with a couple of small, but I think good updates. Just before we get too deep, we have to do our chest cold open. Welcome, Spikelings. I'm your ever humble host, the most humble host, the e-boy that will blast you with fun, innovative decks, aspiring spikes. So welcome back to my Shark Typhoon. Today we've got updates, people, updates. We've got Pyromancers, we've got improvements, we've got Chalice of the Void. Yes, stay tuned with all the delicious spice. Exciting gameplay, maybe make a few friends along the way by leaving a comment, like, sub, follow, gift a bell, gift bits, praise, clothless. Let's go. Have I considered 4 Seasoned Pyromancer and 2? That's so funny. So yesterday we were playing 4 Spyro, 2 Fable. This is one of the bigger changes. I've switched the split here, and I think ultimately it's really close. It doesn't matter that much. It's like really the meat and butter of it. These two cards are really similar, and it's not going to be a huge difference, like no matter what split you play. That being said, yesterday I was favoring a 4-2 split in favor of Seasoned Pyromancer, primarily because Seasoned Pyromancer plays really nicely with Witch's Cottage. It's a good card to Cottage back in the late game, get a lot of card advantage. But I've switched to the split to Fable to favor for like 3 or 4 reasons, but small reasons, to be sure. The first is that I'm up to the full 4 copies of Fury. Yesterday I was playing 3, but when you play the full playset of Fury, I think the stock in Fable of the Mirror Breaker goes up. Yesterday I was also just like in general worried about having a density of creatures to copy with Fable of the Mirror Breaker if I was only playing 2 Seasoned Pyromancer. But yesterday in testing, I actually found that copying Scion and more so Shadow of Mortality, because like you just cast this card. You just cast this card all the time. Copying this was actually like a pretty reasonable play and won you some games, and so I think that, especially with the 4th Fury, you still have 2 Seasoned Pyromancers, I think that you actually are meeting the creature copy requirements of Fable of the Mirror Breaker really well. Also, like, additionally, you're doing that because you can cottage some of your creatures back. That's kind of important to note. Another thing about Fable versus Seasoned Pyromancer, Fable is almost always better on turn 3 than Seasoned Pyromancer is. Typically, like, Seasoned Pyromancer is one of the last cards you wanted to play from your hand. Fable, you want to play it as soon as possible. So, like, on that kind of, like, game theory conceptual level, I think that it makes sense to favor Fable in your split. Also, Fable being single red does matter a lot. Double red on turn 3 has been not super inconsistent, but not the most consistent either. And Fable actually like even helps you maybe sometimes even get that. So if you go turn 3 Fable, make the Fable token attack with the token, then you can even only have 1 red land, fetch a Cottage, and then go Blast plus Bolt for like 18 damage, 20 total with the token attack. And then another small thing about Fable is that it makes you, I think, a little bit better against Blood Moon. Seasoned Pyromancer is also pretty good against Blood Moon, but like the fact that game 1 Fable is making like white mana for you, so you can cast Leyline Binding, I think is really nice. Beyond that, so I went down to 3 Thoughtseize, 4 Fury. I am playing the 4 Thoughtseize in the sideboard. I think this is important for big mana and combo decks and control, but I also think that 3 copies of the main deck feels like a pretty good number, and I was interested in playing the 4th copy of Fury. Just kind of to pull back a little bit, I think that one deck you could really compare this list to is Indomitable Creativity, and one card that I've always thought would be just like so phenomenally good in Creativity is Fury. I've even had some chatters say that they just play Fury and Creativity and they're okay creativitying into it sometimes. I think that might just be like the truth or whatever in that list. But like this style of deck getting to play Fury is a really big deal. So it just like helps you stabilize so well, and stabilizing well early is great in a deck with such a good late game like this one. And of course, like being able to Cottage back Fury is a good way to like overwhelm some opponents in the mid game. Just like a good Fury is a good card. Okay. Also, as far as the mana goes, we were having a conversation about this yesterday. This is like a lesson I just like have to keep learning a lot. But for the most part, I think that so there's 2 ways to build this like 1 color domain mana base. Where you can either play Mardu Triome, which would be obviously like a great card in the Mardu deck, plus what we were doing yesterday, Mardu plus Sultai, where you have you have a tri-land and then like a basic land basically. But I think it's better to have just 2 dual land Triomes instead, because this will let you go like Binding plus Bolt, or like Calibrated Blast plus Binding on the same turn. There are several turns where having the Triome plus like basic land Triome was kind of awkward. So we're on dual land Triome, and I don't think that you want Mardu Triome at all, because there's just not like a complementary land you can play. you have to play a 4th Triome. You have to still play the Sultai one for that one to be like super good. And I think that this is going to be better overall. Path of Peril, All-Star, I think best sideboard card in the deck, to be honest. It was just like just on a very basic level, like these red black. We do have Leyline Binding for Sanctifier, so you're not as weak to Sanctifier as other Rakdos decks, but we're like a slow black based controlling deck that's kind of soft to Sanctifier deck. Maxing out on answers for that's really nice. But what's great about Path of Peril is that in addition to being like a premium sideboard card against Hammer, like one of the best, maybe like probably the best sideboard card you could play for Hammer in this deck. It's also like very good against Yawgmoth and Rhinos and Prowess and mostly just those decks. I think there's like random decks like Merfolk and Goblins, but it is a really versatile sideboard card. It's like more versatile than like a Shattering Spree would be, if that makes sense, which I'm really excited about. I did a lot of thinking about the Dauthi Voidwalkers. These are probably the sideboard cards I'm still the most ambiguous about. I think that the Dauthi Voidwalkers, it's really nice you get to bring them in against control. The Plan B Dauthi Voidwalker plan was really good in a lot of matchups. I think that you could play Ashiok, some number of Ashiok instead, if you wanted to hedge for like Titan a bit more. But we haven't played much against Titan yet. I'm not sure how the matchup is, so I was thinking about playing. I was also thinking about play Ashiok and more Chalices. And then one more small thing before we get going is I think that the burn matchup is very likely horrible. However, we did find that the combination of Shadow of Mortality plus Scion is probably also great against burn, where you're gonna be able to cast this pretty early, and then you can give it lifelink with Scion. So if it ends up being the case that this combination gives you like a reasonable game plan against burn, I'm gonna continue to sideboard like this. Like, it doesn't need to be great; it just needs to be reasonable. But if it ends up being really bad, there's a good chance I play like Blossoming Calm in the sideboard. Yeah, Plains is for the Blood Moon matchups. We went over this yesterday. I just on a very surface level, I don't want basic Plains in my deck at any unless they're playing against Blood Moon. The only time I want basic Plains in my deck is if we're playing against Blood Moon decks. And especially because Murktide only has Blood Moon post board, I think it just makes sense to also only have basic Plains post board. Okay, we're gonna mulligan this hand. Kind of, mana issues, right? And we'll keep this one. We'll go ahead and fetch our Grixis Triumph turn 1 so we can play Bolt on turn 2. I think we'll just put back our basic Swamp. Trying to think of better sideboard cards for 4-color Atraxa that hit Norn than Path. I was thinking that you just want to play Laydown Arms, where, especially with Brought Back, I think that it'll be a 1-mana answer for Elesh Norn most of the time, and it'll be a 1-mana answer for Elesh Norn that, oh, sorry, I should have, their Obosh deck, I should have let them go to attack because they can have second Ragavan. Not the end of the world, though. Just gonna answer the question. Yeah, I would play Late on Arms, though. They do have second Ragavan. It's, like, better against Hammer, also. It's pretty good against Yawgmoth. No, by Calibrated Blast. I guess that's what I get, huh? Alright, well, we get to slam a Fable. Brought back. Oh, well, you said 4-color Atraxa list. I thought you were talking about the Heartless Summoning deck. I thought that was the 4-color. I thought that was the 4-color Atraxa list you were talking about. Discards 2 relics, which is actually good for me because relic is actually kind of scary. Discard Shadow, Blood Crypt. Attacking and Hardcast, so attack, they block, Hardcast Fury, kill 2 elemental tokens. I think I like this. We have like the Flip Fable plus like Fury copy plan. Probably getting a Blood Crypt off this Verdant Catacombs. If I put Atraxa, oh, so I guess there's not Atraxa in that deck. That's what I was confused on. So other than Path, yeah, Murder's Cut or something like that, I will probably play over Path still. It's like just much better against Murktide, but yeah, I do agree that like we are actually in the like have a plan for Elesh Norn portion of the modern format. Any good budget replacements for Fable of the Mirror Breaker? You can play more Seasoned Pyromancers. I don't know. This card is really unique. It's really powerful. Like, you could play Bitter Reunion, you could play Ransack the Lab. Someone on Twitter wanted me to splash blue for strategic planning. I was like, well, there is a black strategic planning, but I don't think you want to. I really don't think you want to play those kind of cards. I think you just want to in general, try to keep your card quality a bit higher, if that makes sense. Oh, sorry, I missed, like, all the subs from this morning, too, so I was doing the deck tech. Gabroth, thank you for 37 months. Fiegler with the 4 months. Space Squall with a gifted sub to Zach, thank you. Ooh, dude, they hit Thoughtseize, that's bullshit. Bullshit. Really needed that. Shadow Prophecy. Shadow Prophecy is so good in this deck. Ganon with the 3 months. Booster with the gifted sub. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Sorry, I was really getting deep into the deck tech today. So if they dash the Ragavan... I'm trying to think which one I block with. It's gotta be the Shaman, right? Just like Reflection plus Fury is too scary. Not that it's like likely to like survive against the mono red Obosh deck. Maybe I'll just discard both of these. Well, don't like drawing nothing. I do like attacking. I think trying to get my opponent down to 15 is pretty valuable because as soon as we find a Calibrated Blast, this game is kind of over. And then I have the option to Cottage back, Shadow or Fury if I want it. I have 2 Cottages left in the deck. If I Cottage back Shadow of Mortality, I have 11 life, so it costs 9 less. So it costs 6 still, which is not that good. Dude, they discarded Blood Moon. I like that a lot. Okay, now I'm just gonna get back Fury though. There's a chance we Cottage like a Fury back again next turn if we have to. I would definitely prefer not to, because being able to oh, whoops. Being able to like just deal my opponent 15 and have the blast as a flashback as soon as we draw one is really valuable at in these kind of games. If my opponent Blood Moons me, I'll definitely get back a Fury. Oh wow, just conceding. It was a little early, but that's okay. We'll take it. So up a game against mono red Obosh. I'm definitely gonna bring in my basic planes. I usually just kind of fetch land when I bring in the planes. I don't think there's any Blood Moon matchup where you want to go up to 24 lands, but I could be wrong about that. And the main reason thought you could keep some number of Thoughtseizes, and I think this would be kind of mediocre. I think bringing in a Needle for Relic makes sense. Could play 2 copies of Terminate. I don't think Path of Peril is very good. If we could play like we could do like a little bit of a hedge. We play like 1 Terminate, 1 Thoughtseize. I don't want Voidwalker. I don't want Path. Could also just play 24th land. Yeah, we can do this. We can do this. Chalice not good. I guess Chalice is pretty good against them. I've just been so excited about this deck. It's been you know, without over, I don't like to hype new decks up too much, but this has been the idea I've been the most excited for in a long time. It really feels, and like to some extent, like what's exciting about it is this has just been a deck that like we could have been playing for a while, and it just feels so obvious in retrospect. Like how did we miss this? How did we miss this when we were working on the Aether Mage's Touch deck? I guess when we were working on the Aether Mage's Touch deck, though, this card hadn't been printed. If I'm remembering correctly, yeah, I think that this card was not legal when we were first working on Aether Mage's Touch, and I think that this card really ties the room together in a big way. Yeah, I agree. It really feels like creativity that gets to play at instant speed and gets to play Fury, and at least for me, playing Fury is a huge selling point. It's like Fury has always been a card I've really wanted access to. As creativity. I'm going to keep this hand. I know it's a little slow in the draw. My opponent's on a mold 6, though, and I like that we can fetch a basic plains and a basic swamp if we need to. Yeah, I don't play a deck 2 days in a row unless I'm really excited about it. think I'm going to be happy enough to just go fetch land here. I think if they don't have a 1-drop, there's a really good chance they have a Blood Moon. Draw Ragavan for turn. Ethical Pickle, think of it 5 months. Stonebrain. Okay, they did see a Calibrated Blast. You know, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. We were Stonebrained yesterday. But it just doesn't like do almost anything against us. It's like deal. Yeah, I know this is almost an Obosh deck. I do think that the even cost cards in the 75, so I think that Scion of Draco is really important for the deck. I think the deck is much worse without Scion. I probably can't see chat. They're like, okay, don't bring in Stonebrain if you're gonna have to ask if you have to tell your opponent, I don't know what to name. Okay, they named Fable. I said, you are already dead, and they said, come on. I said, Jade Avenger. They decided to name Fable of the Mirror Breaker. So I get to draw 2 cards here. I have 2 in my hand. But Stonebraining Fable of the Mirror Breaker is not a strategy I would typically advise. That being said, I think this is weird, actually. I really, really want to get Plains. But if I go Plains, I guess I can go Plains in Dauthi Triome into Xander's Lounge. Scion. And I can play Seasoned Pyromancer next turn. Although drawing this, I'm definitely wanting to set up for the blast. Did you work on any lists for Atraxa and Aether Mage's Touch? So in the Aether Mage's Touch, like Esper Ephemerate Shell that I like to play, I ended up thinking that you wanted to play Footsteps of the Goryo instead of Aether Mage's Touch to like lower the curve, and I think it also just kind of generally plays better with the package. Alright, so we get to blast them for 15 next turn. Surprised they'd attack with the Ragavan. I feel like I'd be drawing to Fury if I was my opponent in this kind of spot. Uh-oh. Well, I guess I can try to Calibrated Blast and just kill the Magus potentially. I also have Lightning Bolt in the deck. I have Fury in the deck. Yeah, I think I'm going to attack. Oh, I want to get my opponent's life total lower, of course. And then I'll blast this after they attack so they can't dinner the Bugbear. And then... Oh yeah, they lost Obosh for Stonebrain. Yeah, do not bring in Stonebrain if you're losing Obosh and you like don't want to name. Although I think my opponent also said they were curious about my deck, so like, to be honest, that may have been why. That may have been why. We revealed Leyline Binding here. I think that you could definitely make a good case to just blast them for 6. I think I'm going to get the Moon Effect off the field instead. Okay, so, and I think I'm supposed to use the blast from my hand instead of the blast from the yard. No, let's use the blast from the yard. This is worse if I draw a land for turn, but it's better against Relic. We know they play Relic, and I'm at 15, so you should be pretty safe. Could Fury put them to 1. Seems correct, since then this is just lethal. Why not Shadows for a land first? You could do that, yeah. Alright, GG. With this version instead, I think you get to keep your card quality really high, which is really what I like about it. I'm going to keep this. This hand really needs to draw a land, but we have a Fury maybe to buy us some time. Any thoughts on what I want to play for the next Modern Challenge? I mean, if I was going to play a Modern Challenge this weekend, which I might, it would be this one. I don't think that I am. So I have Pathfinder tonight instead of Saturday. Let's see. There's a challenge tonight, right? It's like, yeah, the challenge that starts tonight is like really kind of awkward for my time. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, we played Mill yesterday. We did Mill. We have the Emrakul. So we did win. But it's definitely a matchup that is tough to play. Okay, let's play the Cottage next turn so we can maybe Shadow Prophecy, instead on turn 3. And what's cool about this matchup is that they are like milling over. They are milling over your creatures pretty aggressively, so you have our chances to like mill over a shadow is pretty high. Kind of scared of getting surgical though. Yeah, we are pretty good against Tasha's. I think I'm probably going to Fury one of their 2 rhinos here. Let's see what we draw. Just a Blood Crypt, not a particularly helpful card to be honest. If Mill's a bad matchup, you might want more Emrakul or Shuffle card to be a traditional blast deck. I don't think so. I'm not even saying that Mill is a bad matchup, just a stressful matchup. We did beat it yesterday. I think that the one Emrakul in the sideboard gives you like an insane amount of equity no matter what you're playing. It's just like a scary matchup to play no matter what you're playing. It's just such weird. Your decisions are so difficult. But also Emrakul doesn't play very well in this deck. Like it just doesn't work with your whole game plan. So I think that like I wouldn't want to make the whole deck worse. Just because I'm scared, don't like playing against Mill, Mark, 60 months, thank you. What decks does it struggle against? Rhinos seem like a really tough matchup. I imagine Rhinos, the burn is tough as well. Let's see, yesterday we were 1-2, 5-0, 3-2, and like 3 of our losses were to Rhinos. Which is part of the reason why I have the 4th Path of Peril on the board. We did mill over a blast. So I definitely want to fetch land. Funny enough, I don't have any big creature in the yard. I think I just take Fury, fetch land blast though. Weird spot. I think we'll just Scion. If they drown the Scion, that's fine, because then we have a good blast target. I haven't watched the latest Heuristic Study videos yet. We'll see, we'll see. Does Creativity have any bad matchups? Of course, of course. It's like bad against Murktide and Burn. Any brews with Tyvar Priestafel rights? Been kind of working on a couple. Definitely they're a little bit underexplored. I'm a little stuck there. Like, do you want to be like just like, Goryo's or Persist with Priest and like Jace Friend's Prodigy? I think if that's the case, I always feel like that deck is like missing a creature. I'm working on it though. I'm working on it. With Emrakul in the sideboard, can you keep a fetch land to search for Witch's Cottage? Put a milled Emrakul on top of your library for blast. You can, yeah, you can. I'd definitely not say Murk is a bad matchup. I think that most modern players would tell you that Murktide is favored against Creativity. And I think that that's just like, I don't know, since it is what it is, right? You didn't play Thoughtseize first? Why would I play the Thoughtseize first? I don't know. I just feel like they're never surgically in response. Maybe they are. I think they don't know what's up. I guess, I don't know. Like, if you Thoughtseize first, like, the thing about Thoughtseizing first is, like, if you Thoughtseize and they have surgical, they're going to surgical in response. And you don't want them to surgical in response. You want them to surgical in response to the Thoughtseize after the thing is on top of your library. Does that make sense? You want to put it on top, then Thoughtseize. Like, obviously they can surgical in response to the Cottage, but I think they're more likely to surgical in response to the Thoughtseize. Is my thinking. Did I fetch this turn? No, I didn't. I just played Cottage. Okay, so I guess I'm just taking Jace. We're really not too scared of Tasha's. Things, thinking for 19 months, we'll be doing well. Probably still should be close to 50-50 either way. I don't think it's super favored for Murktide, but Creativity is one of Murktide's like it's like the only like tier 1 matchup that they're even favored in. It's not by a lot, but and like obviously you could win, but I think that Murktide is like definitely like 55-53% against Creativity, and like is even like Creativity being on the uptick in Modern is even a big part of the reason why like Murktide had a big resurgence recently too. Okay, so they exiled these cards here. So one Cottage in the deck, but I can't fetch for Cottage because of the double Archive Trap. I'll just flashback a Blast and hope here. Shadow of Mortality, 15 yeah. Fruit, 20 months, thank you. I think you gotta specify between Team Black or 5 color. I don't. Murktide is slightly favored against every Creativity variant. Your curve is a lot lower, your counter spells are really premium. It's just really easy to maneuver around like the higher mana curve Creativity. But yes, you can win. Like you can win. It's like people always hear like, oh, my pet deck has an unfavorable matchup against Murktide. Well, I beat Murktide all the time, but it's just like when I call the matchup unfavorable, it's like just like a couple percentage points in Murktide's favor, just like a normal Modern matchup. Okay, bring in the second Plains because of Field of Ruin. Probably want the Chalice, actually. Summon Surgical is pretty good. Couple Fury. You can play the Voidwalker. I don't think you want the Voidwalker. Yeah, you can be 62, 63. I was 62. Oh, actually, I should probably bring a Needle named Jace. I'm not that used to it, but we should. Yeah. I'm gonna mulligan this hand. The ACN Creativity community says it's like 52 favored. That's because you're talking to the Creativity community. You know what I mean? The Creativity community, they're just, you know, every community overestimates their matchups. You know what I mean? Except for Titan. Except for Titan, every single community is going to like overestimate their matchup spread. That's just how this kind of stuff goes. Yeah, especially against Murktide. Especially against Murktide. Fetching main phase to stop any draw on Archive Traps from being cast. Although it's definitely true, like when you have Emrakul in the deck, we shuffle the back in. When you have Emrakul in the deck, you just don't have to be so worried about the crabs and the Archive Traps, because like you'll get like one free shuffle. I think Sacrifice has a favorable Murktide matchup. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just like I need to play more of the Scam Sacrifice deck. It's just kind of tough for me to find the time, maybe, but I still just have like an insane win rate with that deck after like 14 or 50 leagues. It's like close to 80%. But I also haven't played it in a few months, so I don't know what it'd be like at the moment. Jesus, that compared to yesterday. Oh, we went over it in depth at the beginning of the stream, so I don't know if there's a command yet, but there's maybe you can maybe rewind the VOD a little bit to the beginning. But we're playing dual land triomes instead of triome basic triome. It's kind of how I've been calling them. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody. And then we're playing 4 Fable, 2 Spyro, because like mostly because Fable's better to cast on turn 3. It's single red. It's better with the 4th Fury because we're playing 4 Fury, 3 Thoughtseize instead of the other split yesterday. Sideboard is a couple cards different. Path of Peril has been like our best sideboard card, so we're up to 4 of those. Murktide is favored against goblins, would I say? I think play draw matters a lot in that matchup. I would actually say that goblins is probably favored. It depends on a lot of factors though. It depends on okay, I do have a shadow, so let's go upkeep, blast them. It depends on a lot of factors. It depends on do the goblins players have any 4 Chalice of the Void in their sideboard? Does the goblin player have Aether Vial on the play? There's a lot. So overall percentage wise, I'd say it's close, But like, but another thing too about like the Goblins Murktide matchup is like Goblins is really good against their counter spells, and you're really good against Ragavan, and you're pretty good against Ledger Shredder, and you're reasonable against spot removal. In fact, Goblins is typically very good against spot removal, but you are really soft to the card Murktide Regent. So that in my opinion is the dynamic with the Murktide Goblins matchup. Goblins is good against every single aspect of the Murktide deck except for Murktide. Okay, thankfully they didn't draw a land to mill over my Shadow, so I can blast him here. What about elementals? So I was really liking the recommission elementals deck that I had been playing on stream a bunch. I thought the deck was really good. And most elementals pilots are choosing to play Elesh Norn in the 75. They're like the more traditional controlling versions now. I would definitely not think that the recommission version is like bad now or anything, but it's also, I think we could just blast him here. I think I'm gonna discard the Emrakul to be safe. I wouldn't say that deck is bad now, but I would say that it's not a very good fit for Elesh Norn, and Elesh Norn is like the new hotness. Elesh Norn is, you know, like where most players want to be at the moment, and so you could. So I'm a little unsure on how I would build it, I guess I would say, but I do think Elementals overall is a deck I'd recommend, and you know, there's a lot of good ways to build it too. Okay, Thoughtseize is the revealed card here. Guess we're just dealing them one. Thank you, Doc. Okay, this is good for me if they mill over any creature. Well, oh, there's a Fury. There's a Fury. I can blast him here. Any idea we're going to play at Hunter Burden? If Hunter Burden was today, I'd play this. Although I just ordered the cards in the deck yesterday. A good chance I just play this. I actually need to check. I should have Indatha Triome. I might not have a Xander's Lounge. I should be able to figure it out. But if it was today, I'd play this. But you know, it's still a few weeks away, so there's a good chance we may even have just a whole brand new brew by then, huh? I don't think that I currently am planning on playing tomorrow's Modern Challenge. That might change though. I need to plan my weekend out. So usually I take a day off on the weekend to I take a day off on any given weekend to sorry, why is talking so hard today? To work on Channel Fireball stuff and to like, you know, not be on camera and just like, you know, relax a little bit. Okay, they need to mill me or they lose. And then you know, do some off-stream prep stuff. And so I was planning on that day this week being Sunday, or sorry, being Saturday. It's usually Sunday, but because we're doing the HelloFresh or the Every Plate stream on Sunday, I wanted to switch. But I also like don't have. I can maybe just make it work. I can maybe just do it all, have it all. So I'm not sure yet. But if I was going to play something in the challenge tomorrow, it would be this deck. Will there be any souls today? So my controller is still broken. It was supposed to get here my new one was supposed to get here today, and I think it's been delayed till tomorrow. So I'm really itching to play Souls because we had so much momentum, but my controller's busted. Just start the stream. I might do that like 1 or 2 times. I'm going to keep this. This hand is a little slow. We're up against a Giganta deck, which could be a few different things. Although I guess honestly against Giganta, I'm probably supposed to mulligan. They're just too likely to be like prowess. We're up to the full 4 Fury. Prowess is like, you know, it's an incredible deck. It's one of the best decks in Modern, and I don't think we have that good of a matchup in it in general. Yeah, I like the full run too. It's just, just trying a few different formulas, right? So that mean the half the run would be streamed? Yeah, I would record it, of course, so we have a record if it's the run, but I would just be recording off stream. Cause I could like listen to music and just like relax for a little bit and just be off camera, which is, always okay, interesting. It might be Phoenix. I could just relax for a little bit instead of being on camera, and then like if it's exciting, throw it on the stream. Kind of like what I was doing for the trophy race, right? The run would definitely be recorded. It would definitely be recorded, and we would be able to, it doesn't count if it's not recorded, as far as I'm concerned. This is Fair Breach, right? It could be a few different decks. I think that Fair Breach is a really good guess. Arid Mesa is throwing me off a little bit. I think I've seen some Phoenix variants that play Ledger Shredder, because I built them, I guess. Like it's like Prowess with Ledger Shredder Arc like Phoenix. Could be that. This deck can't play turn 2 Draco. Yes, it cannot play Draco on turn 2, which I think is okay. A lot of times you can go double spell on turn 3 with Scion. Been working on Reclamation Control at all? No, not in a while. There's been a lot. Reclamation's got a lot worse over the last couple sets. Last like 3 sets, 4 sets. Playing the Prowess deck, I seem to be missing Mutagenic Growth. What I can replace them with? Dude, Mutagenic Growth is like incredibly important. It's like Mutagenic Growth plus Underworld Breach is a huge part of the reason why Prowess is so good. I would do everything you can to get your hands on them, and I honestly like wouldn't register the deck unless you can get at least 3. Yeah, it looks like a Prowess variant with Ledger Shredder. Alright, so let's see what we draw. Fury would be good. Leyline Binding would be good as well. Have a lot of options for what we can Leyline Binding. Binding the Soulscar Mage in response to a bolt could be good. Binding the Shredder now to stop the Connive could be good too. The Connive is probably really valuable for them. Let's do that. Let's do that. Prowess with Shredder. Yeah, so I don't think I was playing Soulscar Mage, so they're not definitely playing Arc like Phoenix, but I really liked playing the Prowess deck. I think my threat suite was 4 DRC, 4 Swift Spear, 4 Ledger Shredder, 4 Arc like Phoenix, and I thought that package was really good, but they're maybe just playing Ledger Shredder over Sprite Dragon, because that deck was kind of old. I don't know if they'd still be on it at this point. Okay, so they can breach and bobble like 3 or 4 times, which is pretty scary. But I think they're dead if... No, they're sorry. They're dead if they Mutagenic Growth 2 times somehow. They must have Mutagenic Growth with this attack. Hold on. So let's block like this. I think I'm probably dead to Mutagenic Growth. Prowess was a top deck with Entity, became bad. What makes it good again? Yoran being out of the format. Underworld Breach is what makes Prowess insane. Prowess, like, Underworld Breach is insane in Prowess. It's maybe the best shell for Underworld Breach. It's just... I know that's wild to say, because there are so many good shells for Underworld Breach. But, like, just look at it here. It's so good with Mutagenic Growth. It's so good with Bobble. It's a great way to refill after all the premium removal. And like, honestly, Prowess was good in the Yorion format. We had like a really high win rate with it. It didn't have a very good Yorion matchup, but I would not have called it a bad deck at that time either. Would definitely not have called it a bad deck at that time. Something like this. I don't think I'm worried about Blood Moon. They could have Magus. We have a lot of answers for Magus. Magus is more common than Blood Moon in their deck. Don't want Voidwalker. No, you don't want to bring Voidwalker in against the Lightning Bolt deck. Leyline of Void versus Breach Prowess, you're on 4 if they come in. Yeah, if you have Leyline of Void, you bring them in against Prowess. So that, we could, that could be a good reason to play Voidwalker instead of Leyline. Conversation for sure. I've been saying this for like maybe like 2 months now, but I'll say it again for the people in the back. Underworld Breach is one of the best decks in Modern, and it's just like not played very much. Or sorry, Prowess is one of the best decks in Modern, and it doesn't see a lot of play. This hand's close. I like the Wave of Bolt. If we draw an untapped land, we're okay. I think I'm gonna go to Mulligan though. I do like this hand a good bit more. So if we had the Sultai Triumph still in the deck, we could get Domain with like Sultai Triumph, these two. The best 2-mana instant speed creature removal in mono black. Main deck, I'd probably main deck Shieldred's Edict, and then sideboard I'd main deck just Doomblade, I think. Yeah, I will say that maybe Prowess is on the uptick. I know. I hope that it is, because it really deserves to be. I feel like I really haven't seen a lot of evidence of it being on the uptick on Magic Online. Maybe a little bit, but just like not as much as it deserves. Run Prowess and challenge to prove the non-believers wrong. I could. I don't know. It's also like here's something I'm really coming to terms with lately. It's like if I did, I would have to use a hand hider. I would have to use a hand hider. I feel like lately, especially, like the ghosting has been so bad, and I want to feel very comfortable try harding a challenge without a hand hider. Okay, I think I just want to set up for a Fury here. We can go. Seems like they're F6'd. I guess this Mutagen Growth still saves this. Thankfully, they don't have one. Yeah, they got delayed by a day. I was supposed to be here today. If it does somehow come here today, I still can't play Dark Souls because I have Pathfinder tonight, or I would have a very small window. Smoking 34 months, thank you. YouTube follow videos of a live challenge. Yeah, I don't know. But again, like I also don't need to prove the haters wrong. I just, it's okay. I'm firm in my belief that Prowess is great and underplayed, and I can just recommend it to you. I've also played it a ton on stream. I've played a ton of Prowess on stream with like a great record all the time. I also like Prowess, when I play against Prowess, I also lose to it all the time. The deck is just ridiculously strong. They have a Bauble. Okay, I can only binding 2 creatures here. I guess it would make sense to binding both mages, since I get to gain 1 life, and just binding the 3rd Sprite Dragon. I think Prowess has not played more. So I guess maybe I think that I've been saying this a lot, but it is on the uptick some. It's still not as played as it should be, but I think it is still on the uptick some here. I shouldn't be quite as dooming about it, but I do think that most players don't realize how strong it is. I think that the average Modern community is underrating the deck. Right now, to me, it feels very much like how Creativity felt for a while, where Creativity was just like one of the best decks in the format, and it just was not seeing a lot of play, despite it being one of the best decks in the format for a while. No, I immediately draw Path of Peril. I guess I would have taken, 6 extra damage. And I think that Prowess will see a lot more play in like the coming couple of months. I think people will realize it, but I just think that I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't get the respect it deserves exactly. Just like look how it's just so good at grinding through all this removal. I had Fury, triple Leyline Binding, Path of Peril, and I'm like so behind here. I'm so behind. So I can Cottage back Fury. Why not pass and take 1 more hit from the dragon last turn? That line was pretty good against Double Channeler. I thought it would be better to keep this Leyline Binding in my hand for Underworld Breach. Being able to exile a Breach without getting out of control is pretty premium in the matchup, so that's why I took this line. I feel like that's the correct line, but yes, if they with the follow-up of Double Channeler, it would have been better to hold the Path of Peril. Also, like, in general, like, you know, holding Bindings up is better against, like, second Sprite Dragon Monasteries with Spirit plus Lava Dart. That kind of stuff. Because they drew way above average creature count, process strong. I exaggerate a lot here. I'm not! Like, what's fucked up about this right now is my opponent did not have the nut draw. They haven't cast an Underworld Breach. What's so fucked up about what's happening here is that this is not the worst it could have been. Like, they just have not drawn an Underworld Breach yet. You know what I mean? Saying that I'm exaggerating here is crazy when they just haven't drawn... Like, at any point in this game, if they ever draw an Underworld Breach, it's over. The game is over. And they also have 4 iterations in the deck, too. They have Channeler to dig for it. You know what I mean? It's just... To say that I'm exaggerating here, is just so funny to me. Is Sanctifier good enough for prowess? Sanctifier is very good against prowess. It's good. It's good against Lava Dart, Channeler, Breach. Yeah, I know. I get a little stun locked. Gigantha is also a really broken Magic card. Yeah, I guess we could just get lucky with a blast here, but we're not very likely to win this one. I have 8 damage here. The Prowess System Stream Decker is like, it's close to updated. It's not exactly 100%, I think. Look. It's just like, plus 6 cards. You have such a good early game, and then you're just plus 6 cards, you know? We're already done on board. Damn, the deck is so busted. What are Hammer's bad matchups? I feel like we've gone through every deck today. Hammer is tough against blue, white, and 4 color. I would say are probably the worst 2 matchups. Yeah. Living End is really bad for Hammer. Yeah, so I can pull my prowess list up in the Stream Decker. It's so like there's a few cards I think you can like debate on. I actually wanted to go down to 3 mages, 4 spray dragons. That's partially for like I was playing this locally and there's a lot of Yawgmoth locally. The flying is really important, but the flying is just really good in a lot of matchups. I feel pretty comfortable with this list, honestly. Okay, let's hold up the Binding. Think Creativity is the best deck in the format, putting aside Secret best deck? Not really. Like, Creativity is, like, unfavored against Murktide, and it's just hard for me to think that... it's okay, it's fine. It's not a bad deck, but the matchup is not that swingy, I suppose. Dude, is this the same opponent from yesterday? No, they were playing Opt instead of Consider. I don't know. I don't think... Creativity is a fine deck. It's one of the better decks for sure. I wouldn't put it as number 1. Retro, 1 year. Happy anniversary. Portable Hole over Chain to the Rocks and Prowess. Those should be Chain to the Rocks. Okay. I was even playing the 4th Portable Hole recently. The idea is like if you only want 3 Chain to the Rocks against Murktide, then the first Portable Hole is kind of nice because it answers like Sigarda's Aid against Hammer. But dude, Snapcaster Consider. Let's go. But I think it's also probably better to play the 4th Chain to the Rocks. And again, this is mostly your like anti-Sanctifier card, anti-Sanctifier, anti-Murktide Regent, and it's also good against Yawgmoth too. So it comes in those 3 matchups mostly. Okay, definitely gonna take Fable Catacombs, so I can use the Fable to discard the Shadow. Nice to mill over a blast. Yeah, everybody in chat with the same joke. Snapcaster, what year is it? So they're probably countering my Fable. Might actually want to take another hit here. Can hard cast Shadow of Mortality, maybe. I also want to get. I want to get Domain soon. Trying 2/2 Spy Dragon, 2 Ledger, Believer, Walking List tomorrow. Awesome. So I played Spy Dragon in a different version of Prowess with Phoenix. I think so. My philosophy on Prowess is that if you just play 4 Breach, and those in combinations with like your iterations and channelers, you just have like so much card advantage and selection that you want like the aggressiveness and the power of Sprite Dragon is my philosophy there. But you know, this is another nice thing about Prowess is there's not a lot of wrong answers either. Okay, so how much is this? This is 3 mana. 3 mana, or 4 mana 3 if I crack a fetch. Never Too Saucy. Think with the 5 months. Hope you're doing well. I'm on 3 dragons because I'm greedy when I play 17 lands. 17 lands is just correct. You're not greedy. I know that most people play more than that, but you have so much selection. I really think that 17 lands is just optimal. Matthew, 14 months, thank you. Hope you're doing well. When coming short is easier to develop on 2 mana, lets you cycle, hands with 2 many breaches, yeah. This is also kind of the thing about decision points, like this. It's Ledger Shredder's not a bad card. Ledger Shredder's not a bad card in Prowess. It's totally reasonable. I just think it's like it's just not how I would build a deck. And we have like a ton of conversations about like cards like this, where like the decision is just, it's not bad, it's just not how I would do it. You're getting tempoed out here, huh? I think there's a good chance they counter this. Just like every deck in Modern, like it's just really easy to feel like you have the right list because there's like good options for every deck. Like Creativity, Prowess, Murktide. There's just like a lot of good options, and finding the like 100% best option just takes a while. Jake with the tier 1, thank you. Dicho, 2 months, thank you as well. I think I should probably bolt the Snapcaster Mage. Makes it a little bit harder to get cheesed out by another one. So would love for them to counter. Oh, I should have main phased this because of Solitude, right? So if they counter this Shadow, then I just could have put it on top and blast them for 15. They didn't. I'm worried maybe they have like Shark Typhoon we die here. Snapcaster Mage. Naked Snapcaster Mage. Weird. Yeah, Fire Ice also. Alright, so I think if we fire off the blast here, we can like kill the Snapcaster Mage and present lethal if we don't find something with a high mana value here. So I don't really feel like this is overcommitting into a verdict because I can just set up the blast too. Not that this is even like... Blast is probably just going to deal 1 damage. Okay, up a game against control. I want to cut my Furies and Bolts if possible. I think I'm going to have to leave some number of these in, but I'm going to bring in the Thoughtseize and the Voidwalker. I don't think I'm gonna bring in Needle. Probably play like 3 Bolts. Just like Bolts getting the life total lower for the blast is really nice. Holding the Thoughtseize for Voidwalker is kind of appealing. Also, of course, I want to be setting up Domain. We could also go just like Triome, Thoughtseize on turn 2, and then we could, you know, have our pick up the litter on turn 3. Is it better for me to drop bad cards I enjoy brewing with because they won't see competitive play again, specifically Geist? I mean, that's just not a question I can answer for you, right? Like, you just have to determine, like, what's more important to me, enjoying the game because I only get enjoyment out of, like, these specific pet cards, or is it more important to me to win and, give myself the best chance of winning? Because you can win with your pet cards, of course. And, you know, that's just a question you have to answer for yourself. What my priorities are, because there's, you know, nothing wrong with playing your pet cards, of course. They drew counterspell for turn. Celestial Colonnade. Now we're done for. Oh, I don't have double red. Oh, and I also tapped wrong here. Do I play my Cottage? I think I'm going to hold the Cottage to set up for the Shadow Blast plan. We're not very likely to binding anything this turn. And it's Forced Teferi Cryptic. And that's the mystery card. So at least we have a binding for Teferi if they get it down. I think if they force this Shadow Prophecy, that's okay. And they just immediately don't, which is also okay. Could just take both lands here. I think milling over the Calibrated Blast is kind of nice. Could take second Seasoned Pyromancer. I'm definitely taking Blood Crypt. Definitely taking Blood Crypt, playing Blood Crypt tapped. Maybe I just want another Calibrated Blast in hand. That's probably actually what we want. It's reason to play 4 counterspells. Have Grixis Death Shadow to sub in for Drowns. I think that Drown is better than Counterspell and Shadow. Double blue is like really difficult to do in your deck with a million black and red 1-drops, and the creature removal aspect of Drown is really important. Gives you a lot of equity against Hammer, and I just wouldn't worry about it too much. I feel like Drown also usually counters the card creativity via because they fill up their yard so much. It mostly just does it when they win in 6, right? Shock for Shadow. Well, my opponent took a pretty aggressive line last game, and I mostly want to discard my Shadow also, so that I can set up a Blast. Counter draw. Maybe have taken second Spyro. I guess could have also Cottage back Spyro today. Or this turn. Keep a card on top with Consider. Probably a land for Teferi. Seems like a land for Teferi. Okay, yeah, we'll Cottage back, Seasoned Pyromancer. Could Blast right now, also. Kind of like that. I don't care if they counter it, and I want to keep this on top. I want to use my mana. Exiling with Force is like worst case scenario, but I even have a second Blast. Kind of okay. Spike, am I going to play some Black Red Mid-range decks? Literally, what am I doing right now? This is a Black Red Mid-range deck. So I'm drawing Seasoned Pyromancer. I think I'm discarding Shadow plus Blood Crypt. So I could bolt them right now. So if I draw a land, or sorry, if I draw a Cottage, I can win. They don't have a counterspell. They probably have a counterspell though. Oh, I don't have the triple with the 3rd red though. It's okay. Okay, Cottage lets me deal 15. Can play patiently though. Still have a few threats to deploy. Seasoned Pyromancer tokens. So if they have a counter spell, they'll likely counter Bolt on Teferi, and if we draw a Cottage, we can win. Okay, perfect. I mean, we know they're playing Archmage's Charm. We know they're playing Force of Negation, which is like the best window to get through Force of Negation, I think. I'm just going to go for it. We also have the flashback available to us. Colonnade? Oh, did they know the plus? They do know the plus. Cool. Jason's good again in the Calibrated Blast meta, huh? Oh, I love that Magic Online. I mean, they obviously put it on the bottom, right? They obviously put it on the bottom. Magic Online doesn't tell me, though. It's not in the game log. Alright, it's not getting much better for me. I think I'm just gonna YOLO and go to game 3 if this doesn't work. Alright, let's go to game 3. Working Unctus and Pioneer, do you think Oval Chase should still be a 4 of, where there's only 4 discard outlets in the dead, meaning it's a dead draw more often? I don't know. I think that there's probably not enough support for it to work on Pioneer, to be honest, and I can't tell you without knowing what the deck looks like exactly, but Unctus is a lot worse without Oval Chase. Blue-White good again. People, I don't know why people are honestly. This is my opinion for a long time has been I don't understand why people just think Blue-White is terrible. I think Blue-White is like an unfavorable Rakdos matchup, but it's still good against like. I also think like I'm not trying to shit talk, but I usually beat Creativity when I play Control. Not all the time, but people act like it does a terrible matchup against Creativity, but. I just kind of feel like I hedged a little bit with it, with like some number of Force of Negation and stuff, and I just never felt like the Creativity matchup was too tough. But I don't know. People just act like Control is horrible, but I feel like it's super reasonable deck. Can't beat Elementals. Yeah, that's a good point. Elementals being back on the uptick again. That's probably something I failed to account for. Wasn't really like super common when I was playing it. You just don't see the top of anything. Yeah, but people have been like saying for a long time they think the deck's bad, and there's a lot of people really down on Control at the moment. But I just don't feel like so much changed. Feels like still a super reasonable deck. Yeah, maybe I'm just memeing on them a lot, defeating them with memes. Needle plus Emrakul seems like better than 2 Shadows in this matchup. Emrakul, we're not hardcasting in this matchup. And Needle's okay. Needle's really mediocre against Blue-White. Like, gives them better targets for Prismatic Ending, which they're leaving in, and a lot of times, like, you like reactively Needle Planeswalker and you're getting 2 for 1. But I would never board an Emrakul in this matchup. You're never casting it. And Shadow is like actually a card you can cast, and it's also a 15 drop. Let's discard one of our 2 blasts. Okay, so I want this. Well, the Scion. I guess Scion. I want it in the yard so that I can blast next turn. So I guess I'm gonna take Dauthi Voidwalker, Thoughtseize this turn. So next turn I can go Cottage plus Voidwalker Blast. Well, their hand's terrible. Take the best of the cards, not that it's castable at the moment. Control is a pretty easy matchup for 5 color. We have so many must counter spells. We run 3 main, Flushers inside, 4 spell pierce brain. I don't know. Like this is maybe something like maybe I just like have run well against them or something. But I just feel like when I was playing Control in Vegas, I played against Creativity like 2 or 3 times. And I just didn't feel too bad about the matchup. Is all I'm saying. And that was the last time I played the deck, but I was also playing like 3 Force of Negations in my deck, and it was like that was like for the Creativity matchup, and like I really feel like the Force of Negations were just super premium cards. Like just like being able to like when you have Force of Negation like in Control against Creativity, you can just tap out for your threats. Like the biggest issue is like you just can't tap out for anything against Creativity, but having Force, you could just tap out all of a sudden, and I just found out that things were fine for the most part. But again, this was a long time ago. You know, I haven't been playing as much lately. I could just be off my rocker, you know. One thing too was like one big thing about having so many 0 drops in the deck was when your Creativity opponent plays Fable, you can just Archmage's Charm their token. This was a really important line. Was when they play Fable, you can just Archmage's Charm their token, and then they're just like, and then they can't tap out for Creativity either, and then they can't tap out for Creativity because they're gonna get got by Solitude or Force, and then like using that token to generate a lot of mana for you, like cast it like it's Fairy Hero the next turn, was really good for me. So it's a Fairy Mystery card. They might minus here. Don't have any creatures in the yard for the Calibrated Blast. Oh, never mind. Yeah, let's just discard both of these so we can try to find a Cottage for the guaranteed win. We have so many cottages. Not a Cottage, but that is a win. Good old Lightning Bolt. Yeah, any card, even a 1-drop, is going to be lethal here. With them only having 1 card in their hand, although we hit a 15-drop. Clover, Twitch Prime, thank you. And again, and this is also like every single time I talk about a matchup, and I say that a deck is like not that bad against another deck, I'm not even necessarily saying Control is favored against Creativity. I'm just saying that the matchup is not as bad as people make it out to be. Creativity is likely even like a slight favorite, and when I say Murktide is favored against Creativity, it's also a slight favorite, but it's just all very small percentage points with these kind of like top tier matchups usually. A Patra in the hand. We're for a Fury deck, so I'm not too worried overall. Kind of think I'd take the Strangergeist. Well, I wonder if they ever play Hapatra next turn. Yeah, we'll take the Strangergeist, and then this lets me cast Shadow Prophecy next turn because they're just gonna play the wall. The thing is, in the combo, it's Rins and Tefts. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like you have answers for this stuff too. Like you have your own Teferis, you have Leyline Binding to answer these cards. It's just you have answers for their threats. Play draw matters a lot. I recognize that. Take wall. I think I like my decision point here. I might get 13 right now. I'd be at 11, taking 3 more damage this turn, down to 8. But like I think that I would probably say Creativity is a favorite against Control, but I don't think the matchup is super lopsided like people make it out to be. At least that's been my experience. That's all I'm saying. All right, and I really want to set up like I want to slow their aggro down so I can try to find a Fury off this Shadow Prophecy. Wow, all my lands tap for black, and somehow I tap for Jeskai colors. No Fury. Huh. Take Blast Bolt. Probably don't really want the Thoughtseize. Bolt here first. I want to bolt the Hapatra on my turn. Make Court of Calling worse. Just go face. I think that that line's not correct at all. Pretty bad Shadow Prophecy. Didn't find a Binding, didn't find a Fury, didn't mill over a big creature for my blast. Played this matchup yesterday. We have a ton of really premium cards here. Fury, Binding, and then the Burn Plane is not so bad against them either. Okay, so I guess maybe my opponent ends up killing my Scion, and we can try to Cottage it back and deal them 12. Why change the Triumph? So the way we had the Triumphs yesterday, we basically had, you know, we have Mardu Triumph plus Sultai, so it's like we have a Triumph and a basic Swamp with 2 extra land types, and I think having dual land is more relevant, because there are a lot of turns I wanted to go like Fable plus Binding, and I couldn't because I just have like Triumph plus 3 black sources. And I this is like a lesson I've even, you know, like had to learn in the past, and didn't, you know. Big advantage of creativity is it plays almost no situational cards and many high value cards. It's about 5 color creativity. Teamers way worse for control. Yeah, I think that is a correct analysis for sure. For sure. Yeah, I really want them to kill this. Awesome. So I think that if they like sack Hierarch, target Young Wolf. Okay, I can't do it now. Interesting that they're doing it right now. I'm not sure why they're not waiting for damage. Ever bolting our own side? No, because then we can't cast the blast. I think they're worried about me bolting their Yawgmoth. Prefer Foundry or Stomping Ground Splash? Definitely a white splash. Definitely a white splash. So you can deal with Sanctifier and Murktide, which are like the 2 biggest problem cards by a lot. Okay, so if they have a Endurance, we have to just YOLO. Thankfully, they don't have it. Gonna blast them now. They're not dead, but they can't continue their loop. And I don't want to let them dig for the. I don't want to let them dig for Endurance. I could just like Flashback Blast or bolt them, and bolt them, so I don't need to worry about them being at 1. The Blood Artist is also dead, which is kind of important to note here. I might cheeky. I told Esther that if she wants to make merch for the stream, she could, as like an unemployment project. And then she started and didn't finish, and she's starting her new job next week. But she's a marketing major. She has a marketing degree. So if she wants to, I told her that she can be in charge of it. Could be a matchup to like be like really controlling, and like maybe we could cut the Shadow of Mortalities. Do something like this. Like it's actually really nice that Scion has flying. We just keep in all of our card advantage, all of our removal, and then we have like a 12 damage Calibrated Blast. We could maybe even trim Calibrated Blast in this matchup. Play some number of Voidwalker. I'm worried about over-sideboarding. Voidwalker is also awkward with Path of Peril. It's not as good with the control game plan either. Something like this. No, do not play Hidetsugu over Path. This kill Sanctifier in deck. I know Hidetsugu is like cool and you get a lot of value. Clearing Blast seems wrong. I think it seems right. We are mostly like a Fury control deck in this matchup with like late game Blast, and so I think like moving away from the combo, still having access to some amount of the combo. I think I like this plan, or at the very least, I want to try this plan. I want to try it, you know, like 1 or 2 times before I write it off. Yeah, they might also Necromantia. We got Necromantia the other day, and so that's even like an interesting point too. A good point. Never played Chalice on 2 since we run too many 2-drops. It's just, I mean, Chalice on 2 is a 4-mana play, and so it's kind of hard to make it a big part of your game plan, you know? How would I order a top 5 modern ranking? I wouldn't. I think people read a little bit too much into that kind of stuff. And, you know, one thing is, you know, I go on and on and on about prowess. I go on and on about rhinos being underplayed, but at the end of the day, they are really underplayed, so they're also not decks that you need to like prepare for or think a ton about, because they're really underplayed, and so it's like they're not like big, important. Oh my gosh, that's crazy draw. They're not like metagame defining decks either, if that makes sense. Can probably get rid of a Seasoned Pyromancer. Nah. But like it's just weird, because I think Modern is in a very odd spot where like specifically prowess and rhinos are like 2 of the best choices for tournaments, and they're really underrepresented, and I think Murktide is super overrepresented, and so it's just like an odd time. Yeah, I think we just path this turn. We can hardcast Fury next turn. Path has been so good. You can hardcast Fury this turn, Treasure. Yeah. I guess that could also be like a better line. That could be better. So we go, I think, let's see, we're taking 7. It's a lot of damage. What do you do, 2/1/1? Maybe we just kill both Young Wolves. No, I probably need to get them off mana a little bit here. We also have Fable plus Fury plus Fable going next turn. Yawgmoth is also like one of the best decks in the format, and like is consistently underrepresented because it's really hard to play. I don't know. It's just Modern's just a weird spot. There's a lot of decks like this one too. Like, you know, I don't know. There's just like not that, like, one thing to remember about Modern and Modern data is there just like aren't very many people like working on new decks at the moment, and there aren't very many people like relative to the rest of the format, like playing like most popular decks. It's starting. I can feel it starting to change a little bit. I can really feel like this is starting to change a little bit. I can feel more rhinos popping up. I can feel more prowess, but it just doesn't feel like they're still appropriately represented. Juicy 18 months. Thank you. I feel like a lot of things are underrepresented because there's so many viable decks. Yeah, that's true. It's just hard to evaluate, which is why.